Good morning and welcome to Pittsburgh Mennonite Church. And as we begin this morning, we turn our attention to the lighting of our peace lamp. Lent is a time of darkness and it's a time of waiting. We don't always know what's going to happen, both in Lent and in life, but we wait and we work and we hope that God is who we think God is. It is difficult sometimes to pray and work for peace and justice, to see the world around us and not know what will be happening in the future. We work for environmental justice, not knowing if our efforts will be enough to stall climate change. We work for social justice, not knowing if we can help people's lives be better. We work for peace, not knowing if war will ever end. We plant seeds in the spring, and we don't know if they'll grow into plants, yet year after year we are fed with vegetables from our garden and flowers to feed our souls. This morning, as we light the peace lamp, I pray that we have faith that what we plant now will be fruitful in the future. Please join me in the call to worship. I will read the part of one, and then please join for the part of many. Come, you who seek God, proclaim God's glory. Come. 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 Come, you who seek God, proclaim God's glory, and walk in faith.
Please stand as you're able and join me in number 540. Will you come and follow me? Will you come and follow me if I but call your name? Will you go where you don't know and never be the same? Will you let my love be shown? Will you let my name be known? Will you let my life be grown in you and you in me? Will you love yourself behind if I but call your name? Will you care for cruel and kind and never be the same? Will you risk the hostile stare? Should your life attract or scare? Will you let me answer prayer in you and you in me? Will you let the blinded see if I but call your name? Will you set the prisoners free and never be the same? Will you kiss the leper clean and do such as this unseen and admit to what I mean in you and you in me? Will you love the you hide if I would call your name? Will you quell the fear inside and never be the same? Will you use the faith you found to reshape the world around through my sight and touch and sound in you and you in me? Christ, your summons echoes true when you but call my name. Let me turn and follow you and never be the same. In your company I'll go where your love and footsteps show. Thus I'll move and live and grow in you and you in me. And now please turn to number 419. Great is thy faithfulness. Number 419. One thing to note in this song is it uses a name for our God that for some is less than comforting. And I wanted to recognize, if you look in that first line, it says, "O God, my Father," but it says at the bottom alternate texts of "O God, my Mother," or "O God, my Creator." I invite you to remember that God is way more expansive than the idea of father or mother, and that God is the one who cares for, comforts, and loves us greater than any earthly being could. And so I invite you to use the word, the name for God that most deeply embodies that love to you. Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Mother. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Thank you.
Genesis 17:1 through 17. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, I am God Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will make you exceedingly numerous. Then Abram fell on his face, and God said to him, As for me, this is my covenant with you. You shall be the ancestor of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham, for I have made you the ancestor of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. I will establish my covenant between me and you and your offspring after you throughout their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and to your offspring after you. And I will give to you and to your offspring after you the land where you are now an alien, all the land of Canaan, for a perpetual holding, and I will be their God. God said to Abraham, as for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offspring after you, throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. Throughout your generations, every male among you shall be circumcised when he is 8 days old, including the slave born in your house and the one bought with your money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring. Both the slave born in your house and the one bought with your money must be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant. God said to Abraham, as for Sarai, your wife, you shall not call her Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. I will bless her and also give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she will give rise to nations. Kings of people shall come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, can a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Can Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child?
It's time for the children's time. If all the children want to come up. Hello, I know you. Welcome. You want to sit down? Ooh, I like your shoes. I know a lot of you, but not all of you. I'm Will. Hi, Levi. This is my first children's time, so I'm feeling a little nervous. How are you all feeling today? Good? Tired? Happy? That's great. Our topic is a little bit of a strange one, so we're going to ease into it. Who knows things about Harry Potter? Do we have any Harry Potter? Oh, good. I was kind of hoping for that, but I know it's less popular these days. Okay, here's my visual. I'll raise it up for all the parents, right? Pretty typical. And we see Harry Potter's scar, right? What's the story with Harry Potter's scar? It is hard to explain. Give us like the shortest version. Go ahead. Got scarred by Voldemort. I'm going to kind of narrate for the adults. Go ahead. Any other details? That was a good one sentence. You want to add to it, Lizzie? Yeah, great way to like not give any spoilers there too, right? So somehow Harry kind of survived the encounter with Voldemort, but he still has this scar, right? And this scar I think is kind of cool. He gets a special name as a result of this. Do you guys want to see it in the back? I'm sure you've seen like the movie or at least exposed to it. What's the special name that he gets? What? He is a wizard, right? But then they call him the boy who... Go ahead. Oh, okay, yeah. The boy who lived, right? So I want to talk about his scar because it's kind of like a tattoo. I actually have a lot of tattoos, but you can't see them because it's wintertime. So maybe in the summer we could talk more about my tattoos. What? Yeah, you could see a tiny bit, right? Does anyone have any tattoos that they think would be cool to get? What? Okay, we got a Harry Potter scar on the forehead. I was hoping for one of those, honestly. That would be fantastic. I have not gone for that, actually, myself. Go ahead, Levi. What about you? Also Harry Potter scar. Anything else? Hope, what kind of tattoo would you get? Okay, we got a lot of Harry Potters. Anything else? Go ahead.
Maybe like some sort of coming out. It's like made out of paper.
That sounds awesome. It's a gear with a guy made out of paper coming out, something like that. Go ahead. Oh, so the cat from Harry Potter. Okay. So we got a lot of Harry Potter ideas for tattoos. I want to say that there's one difference between all of our tattoo ideas and Harry Potter's scar. which is that he didn't actually choose to get the scar, right? What would you think if if your parents gave you a tattoo and you just had to live with it?
I would hate that a lot.
You would hate it.
It was good.
Unless it was a good tattoo. Yeah, like for instance, a gear with a paper guy coming out of it. That would be reasonable. Any other reactions? How would you feel if your parents gave you a tattoo when you were born? Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. Yeah, we got some mixed reactions.
Cycle with flames coming off.
Right. Motorcycle with the flames coming off of it. And so if you gave that to a baby, that would qualify for you. That would be cool enough, right?
That would just be weird.
Oh, that would be too weird. Okay. What if your parents gave you a tattoo related to church? Yeah, that would be acceptable? Well, as it turns out,
Depends on what the church tattoo is.
this used to be, depends on the church tattoo, yeah. A cross would work for you. As it turns out, this used to be what they would do, but just for babies with penises. And they would, right as it's a baby, 8 days old specifically in the Bible story, you make a cut on the baby's penis that doesn't hurt it long term, and it's always noticeable then. Did you know that? No. Yeah, and it's a little similar to Harry Potter's tattoo, because in the story that we just listened to, just like Harry Potter, the main character of the Bible story gets a new name, and this procedure on his penis shows everyone in the future who he is. So that procedure is called circumcision, and I have another discovery for you, which is that still today, sometimes people will do this. So if you have a penis, you may have had this happen to you, except in today's context, it would be at the hospital. At the hospital, they would ask the parents. And now, today, typically, it's not done to show that you're a member of a church or a religion. It's done kind of out of habit and culture and routine. So this isn't something that you should go around asking other people, but you could talk to your family about it. And that's the story. Thanks for Kids Time.
I feel it's very fitting that we're going to be singing Ask the Complicated Questions right after that. Number 440, Ask the Complicated Questions. And I invite you to stand or sit as you feel led. Ask the complicated questions. Do not fear to be found out. For our God makes strong our weakness, forging faith in fires of doubt.
The scripture is Mark 8:31 through 38. Then he began to teach them that the Son of Man must undergo great suffering and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. He said this quite openly, and Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. But turning and looking at his disciples, he rebuked Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan, for you are setting your mind not on divine things, but on human things." He called the crowd with his disciples and said to them, "If any wish to come after me, let them deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For those who want to save their life will lose it, and those who lose their life for my sake and the sake of the gospel will save it. For what will it profit them to gain the whole world and forfeit their life? Indeed, what can they give in return for their life? Those who are ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of them the Son of Man will also be ashamed when he comes in the glory of his Father with the holy angels."
ask the complicated questions. Do not fear to be found out, for our God makes strong our weakness, forging faith in fires of doubt. Seek the disconcerting answers, follow where the Spirit goes, test competing truths for wisdom, for intention new life grows.
I recently watched the 2012 movie directed by Terrence Malick, To the Wonder. And the movie itself spoke to me in a particular way through really a secondary character that's involved in kind of a secondary plot of his own. There's a priest, and this priest goes out into the world and he meets with people in the community who are most needy, drug addicts, sick, the elderly, people who are poor and homeless. But the whole time, through voiceover, we hear the priest questioning. We hear the priest wondering, where is God? Thinking back to the days of his youth, remembering God moving in powerful ways in his life. He doesn't see it all the time now as an adult. But yet, he still goes out each day, ministering to those in need. And this spoke to me when I saw the story prompt for this week, a time when I moved towards goodness without a guarantee that things will work out. And I also connected to this priest, not because I have a vocation to become a priest, although that would bring great joy to a lot of my Catholic mentors of my youth, but because I too feel called towards goodness without any kind of guarantee of earthly reward. But at the same time, still kind of seeking that from God, seeking God's voice to boom out from the heavens or to give me a thumbs up in some way. The biggest part where I've seen this play out in my life is with the decision that my wife and I made about 10 years ago to become foster parents. When we started out, we had already had one child, Elisha, and we wanted to grow our family and had always been called towards adoption. And both of us had had interactions with the foster care system through knowing families involved. And we thought, this seems like this is a good thing that is worth doing. And we didn't know how things would work out, but we felt like this was something we could do. And it was quite a learning process. We knew that things would be hard, but we didn't really know all the challenges that we would face along the way. We learned that the foster care system, well, we already knew, rather, that the foster care system exists because our world is broken, and it's an unfortunate thing, and it's a sad thing in many ways. And we also, though, realized through doing this just how difficult things are. What does it really mean for things to work out in the foster care system? I don't have an answer for that. I don't expect to ever have an answer for that. Children going through this experience multiple layers of trauma, the trauma that they experienced in their lives that led them to the system in the first place, but the system itself is trauma. Visitations with family members can be trauma. The day in and day out, their memories, their dreams, trauma. And we've lived through this too. And as parents, we too have had to experience secondhand trauma and, some traumas of our own through children coming in and out of our home, through things bubbling up that we never realized that we would have to face. And through all of this, we do wonder, what is it going to look like for this to work out? I too often walk through my days too, like the priest in the movie, asking God for a sign, asking God to work in a powerful way, kind of almost expecting God just to boom out saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." I don't get that. Instead, I walk through life and I wonder, but I still move towards goodness. That's my goal, and it will be up to God to decide in the end if that is what I have done. things working out, we hope and pray for this. We hope and pray that the choices that we are making day to day are choices that will help our children, both biological and adopted, to love God, to be great humans in this world. And we hope and pray that the experiences, the traumas that we've lived through in life will be things that will help us to grow stronger, that will help us to grow closer to God. But there is no, as I said, it's too hard to know how things will work out. And so I increasingly find myself adjusting my perspective. I'm no longer looking for I've never really looked for earthly confirmation of the things that I'm doing, but I'm looking for really the words that are traditionally ascribed to St. Patrick to be a truth in my life. These words are also spoken by the priest into the wonder in some of the closing scenes of the movie. As he continues to minister, he has not gotten his sign from God. He has not had that big epiphany or revelation, but yet he continues to do his work. And the prayer here, the excerpt from the prayer of St. Patrick, is something that is more a description of his life, and it's a prayer that I have, that this too would be my lasting perspective as I walk and as I continue to try to aim towards choosing goodness. Christ with me, Christ before me, Christ behind me, Christ in me, Christ beneath me, Christ above me, Christ on my right, Christ on my left, Christ when I lie down, Christ when I sit down, Christ when I arise, Christ in the heart of everyone who thinks of me, Christ in the mouth of everyone who speaks to me, Christ in every eye that sees me, Christ in every ear that hears me. Amen.
Please join me in verses 3 and 4 of 440.
Knock on doors of new ideas, test assumptions, long run stale, for Christ calls from shores of wonder, daring us to try and fail. For in struggle we discover truth both simple and profound. In the knocking, asking, seeking, we are opened, answered, found.
My name is Nick, and I want to talk about a time in my life that started about 50 years ago. I was working as a machinist, and I bought my first motorcycle. It was also a time when I was not going to church and called myself an atheist. One Friday, 15 minutes before quitting time, the foreman in the shop, Paul Hoffman, came up to me and started preaching to me. I told him I didn't believe in any of that stuff and he was wasting his time. He said that couldn't be true because I was such a good worker. I told him, you don't have to believe in God to do a good job. I quit that job a few months later, and later found out that Paul had also quit his job and started his own one-man machine shop near what is now Cranberry. It was then called Kreider's Corners and was much less populated than today. I was able to ask around, and I found his shop and rode my motorcycle out to see him. He was happy to see me. He turned his lathe off and stopped to talk to me. As a young man, he had ridden motorcycles, and we compared my Honda 350 to the Harley Davidsons that he used to ride. He thought the craftsmanship of my Japanese motorcycle was better than that of his Harley. One of Paul's daughters had married a Japanese man and lived in Japan. This might have helped him appreciate my Honda. Paul was a fundamentalist Baptist, and I was an atheist. Our conversations were usually about motorcycles, machining, and religion. He was the only religious person that I knew who did not condemn me for my lack of belief. I would go see him every couple of months, and we really became friends. Whenever I had a close call on the motorcycle, I was sure to tell him about it. And he would always have the same reply: God was watching over me, that God had something in mind for me and was protecting me. And I would always tell him I was lucky or fortunate. I didn't believe any supernatural power intervened to protect me on the highway. During the 10 years that I had a motorcycle, about half the time it was my only vehicle. I rode year-round in Pittsburgh. I had heavy insulated overalls and became skilled in riding in the snow. I told myself that I was safety conscious because I always wore a helmet. Yeah, right. I met my first wife, Pearl, through Paul. She was his niece. Pearl and I were married in 1976. She had a car, so I sold my car and just rode my motorcycle. The winter of 76, 77 was very cold and snowy in Pittsburgh. We lived in an apartment in Squirrel Hill, and my job was in Lawrenceville. I would travel on Nagley Avenue on the way to work. One morning it had snowed about a half an inch, and the roads were not yet salted. There is a very steep hill on Nagley Avenue that goes from Squirrel Hill down to Fifth Avenue. There's a traffic light at the bottom of the hill. Normally, I knew I could make the light at the bottom if I saw it turn green while I was on the hill. This day, in the snow, it was slippery, and I was going very slowly. I was on the hill, and I saw it turn green. Then I saw the light start to change, and I was not even yet halfway down the hill. It was too slippery to stop. I could have gone a different way and not gone down the steep hill. I hadn't thought about it before, but now there's no regrets. When I saw the light start to change, I realized my only chance was to go fast. I opened the throttle and blew the horn and went through the red light a few seconds after it had changed. At that time, there was no period where the lights were red in both directions. When you saw a red light, instantly there was a green light the other direction. Nobody on Fifth Avenue started. I went through the intersection at 45 miles an hour, and I stopped a couple blocks later because I was shaking too badly to continue. I now think that Paul Hoffman was right. The Spirit was watching out for me. But I don't think God changes the law of physics for anyone's benefit. I didn't suddenly gain traction on that snowy hill. I do think that the Spirit moves people to have compassion and empathy, to delay their commute a few seconds to save the life of a foolhardy young man.
Please turn with me to number 753, Heart and Mind Possessions, God.
Heart and mind, possessions, God, I offer unto you. All these were yours, God, and you gave them all to me. Wondrous are the gifts you give to me. Plans and my thoughts and everything I ever do are dependent on your will and love alone. I commit my spirit unto you. Heart and mind, possessions, God, I offer unto you. You are the way, the truth, you are the life. Sinful, I commit myself to you. Jesus Christ is filling all my heart and soul. He can give me victory o'er all that threatens me. Jesus Christ is filling all my heart.
Now is the time where we spend some time to do our offering. I want to remind everyone that we offer lots of different things, not just money. There is a link in the bulletin if you would like to give electronically. There is a physical plate here if you would like to come drop a check or cash, or just come touch the plate in honor of the gifts that you are offering, or the gifts that you intend to offer. But we also offer ourselves in lots of other ways through gifts of music, gifts of our time, our minds, our thoughts towards others. And last week, Dave talked about, with the children at Children's Time, building altars, and talked about the tradition when you're hiking to put a cairn as a marker of your path. And then he had the children come and build altars with rocks. And we have some additional rocks here if you would like to, instead of, or in addition to touching the offering plate, pick a rock from the Tupperware and put it into the glass bowl, sort of as a path marker. And now Abe is going to give us the gift of music.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone, at the river I stand, guide my feet, take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, help me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, take my hand, feel the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home.
Speaking of singing, please stand and join me as you're able with our sending song number 420, God of the Bible. Number 420. God of the Bible, God in the gospel, hope seen in Jesus, hope yet to come. You are our center, daylight or darkness, freedom or prison. You are our home. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. God in our struggles, God in our hunger, suffering with us, taking our part. Still you empower us, mothering spirit, feeding, sustaining from your own heart. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Those without status, those who are nothing, you have made royal, gifted with rights, chosen as partners, midwives of justice, birthing new systems, lighting new lives. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Not by your finger, not by your anger, will our world order change in a day, but by your people, fearless and faithful, small paper lanterns lighting the way. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Hope we must carry, shining and certain, through all our turmoil, terror and loss, bonding us gladly one to the other, till our world changes, facing the cross. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change. Fresh as the morning, sure as the sunrise, God always faithful, you do not change.
Just as Abraham did not waver through his unbelief, but was strengthened in his faith by God's promise, may we too give glory to God and be fully persuaded that God has the power to do what God promised. Go in peace.